Well, welcome to the Secret Life of Entrepreneurs. I'm here with our guest today who's gonna tell us how old is new again. So I'd like to start off by first off welcoming Erin Kinder to the show today from Kinder Surprises Antiques in Davidson, Saskatchewan. Welcome, Erin.
Thanks so much for having me.
It is wonderful to have you here. So, let's get started. Tell us a little bit about Kinder Surprises Antiques.
Well, back in 2014, I started my business, and I converted a hip roof barn on our family farm just outside of Davidson into an antique shop. So it's a huge space, and I converted several buildings since 2014. And I open seasonally from, just while it's humanly warm enough to be out there is pretty much the season that I run. And yeah, I just have a huge selection of antiques available and a great space and yard for people to explore and wander here in Saskatchewan.
So what made you wake up one day and go, hey, I want to sell antiques? Not something, to me it's kind of like being a dentist. Who wakes up and says, I want to look in people's mouths all day? So how did you get there?
Well, my mom back in the 90s had an antique shop, and we've always had antiques in our homes. I have a funny little story that my sister and I used to walk around garage sales and things and pick up and look at the bottom of teacups.
Oh.
And we didn't even know what we were doing or what we were looking for.
Yeah.
But that's just what we saw and kind of what we did.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so then I started selling a few antiques to my friends when I was on maternity leave one year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sold more and more things and more and more things. And all of a sudden I was like, ooh, there might be something in this.
There might be something here. Okay, you know what? You just touched on something so important. And it was fun, right? For a lot of people, going to work every day, whatever it is you're doing, if it's not fun, it becomes drudgery. So tell me about that feeling. It was fun. What made it contagious for you?
Well, I could do whatever I wanted, and my days are so varied.
Mm-hmm.
Some days I'm doing something very artistic, like setting up a display and rearranging things and sort of beautifully curating areas. Other days I'm doing research, I'm on my computer, I'm looking up information, and sometimes I am like elbows up with rubber gloves, climbing over a dead raccoon or something like that, hunting and finding these antiques. But I mean, it's fun because you just never know what each day is going to look like, and
Exactly.
It's a scavenger hunt. When I go to when I'm invited to people's homes and to go through their yards to see what we find, and sometimes the people that own the items forgot they had it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I suppose, hey?
Yeah.
So do you find that you collect a lot of your items doing exactly that, going to people's homes, or estate sales, moving sales? Where do you actually find your merchandise then?
When I originally started the business, it was from going to farm auction sales, and I was buying at auctions.
Okay.
But now that I've been established as a business and people can find me on the internet and through my Facebook.
On Google.
On Google. Thank you. You really helped too, Barb. Now that people can find me, they're calling me and inviting me to their homes. And they follow me on Facebook, and they love to know that their family's possessions are going somewhere where they're going to be treasured.
Exactly. Well, and where they're going to be reused. You said something earlier in our conversation, the word sustainable. Sustainable has become such an important concept, I think, to almost everyone. I know certainly it's not. And I had a previous guest from Amaranth Designs, and she talks about fast fashion. So in some ways, what you're doing is very similar to what Ria is doing. And we need to get out of this concept of, it's the most fashionable, dishware set, or it's the most fashionable couch, or it's the most fashionable whatever, right? So I really like what you're doing in terms of it's sustainable. Reusing, great grandma and grandpa's X, or keeping grandma's Y, and keeping it in the family for generations. It's not something that we've seen for a long time.
And it's amazing, too, how when people incorporate these things into their homes, they're gorgeous and they look beautiful, and it just adds a level to their homes that you can't just go to a traditional store and buy everything. You'll put a few of these antiques or incorporate them into your other items, and they'll be the items that people ask questions about, or they're like, where did you get that, or what's the story about this? And it's just
a conversation starter.
It's a conversation starter, and that's really what people want. They want that authentic, interesting piece in their home.
Yes. What I find is it adds a level of sophistication and richness to the environment, as opposed to just the latest and greatest that, you might see at IKEA, you might see it at the Brick, wherever, right? And so it adds a really different level to something. How much time do you spend researching the items that you find? So understanding like where it came from, what era?
It's really dependent on the item. Like some things I don't need to research because I've bought and sold enough things and I understand the market well enough that I just know what it is. But other things, it'll take longer, and it'll also depend on if I think it's a really high ticket item or an amazing find that I just have to know a little bit more. And if I can find out the provenance of something, it's really special because people love the stories of where the items came from.
Yes. Well, and I was sharing a story with Erin just before we got started today. I make something called water kefir. And water kefir is a probiotic. It's very similar to kombucha. So I make this water kefir, and I needed great big jars to be able to make this properly. So I went to, I think, Value Village, and I picked up a couple of old mason jars. And I shared the story with Erin, and I said, the traditional lids didn't fit. And so I started researching and Googling where these jars actually came from. And I finally found the matching logo and the matching imprint on the bottom of the jar, and they came from the 1920s. These jars had survived nearly 100 years by the time I bought them. I was just dumbfounded. And the first thing Erin and I both said was, imagine how many different preserves or things have been in those jars, right? They have survived generations and been passed down and down and down, and I suspect found their new home in Value Village simply because the lids don't fit anymore. You can't buy them. So fortunately, they did come with lids, and even for water kefir, you didn't need it, so it wasn't a big deal to me. But I did. Same thing. I found that very contagious. It's like, I want to know more. I want to know what they were used for. And of course, there's no way to find that out. But I did. I absolutely found that so interesting, to be able to go back. And we don't by any stretch have antiques in the house, but we...
Not yet.
Not yet. But I kid you not, we have a set of cutlery from when I would have been, 10 and under, because we had this original set of cutlery that I'm sure came from one of my grandparents. And then Mom and Dad got the nicer pair once they could afford a nicer pair. And they kept the old pair for camping and things like that. When I went to university, I got that set, and I still have it. Now, of course, university was only a year or two ago, but, wishful thinking. So tell me a little bit, what does a day look like for you? Like, how do you know what you need to get done in any given day?
Well, it often depends on if I have to go out picking or if I've been invited to go somewhere. So if someone calls me up and they're like, my mom is moving to town and we'd like to sell her items from her home, then that's the first thing that I do because I am selling a lot. I'm always got to replenish my inventory.
Right.
But yeah, so I'll go out to the people's house. I have a truck and I have my own trailer. Do everything sort of myself. I often bring my mom along and a friend or two who has a strong back that likes to explore.
Doesn't mind picking up a couch or two along the way.
And then we'll go do that. I spend a lot of time researching, a lot of times working in my barn, setting it up, rearranging, moving things in a way that you can see them and sort of imagine how you can incorporate them into your own home. Some people come to my barn and have said it's like Pinterest or something, like it's beautiful.
I can imagine.
It's not like some antique stores that maybe have like just things on top of things on top of things. It's quite coordinated, and I do a good job of that. It's organized and it's clean and it's nice wide aisles so people that can get through if they are pushing a baby stroller or if they're pushing a walker or even someone in a wheelchair.
Yes, you need them to be able to maneuver carefully, right? You've got some really valuable stuff in there.
And you don't want to be going through an antique store and thinking you're going to break stuff.
No,
because then
exactly.
you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I do make sure that I have nice aisles that are clear for people to look at everything.
Then it starts to feel like Grandma and Grandpa's or Great Grandma and Grandpa's living room where there was so much stuff that could be broken and you didn't want to touch it. I remember that as a kid. It was like whenever we went to visit my great-grandparents and Moose Jaw's home for me, we would go to visit them and, you sat on the couch and if you wanted to play, you had to go to the basement because there was simply no place on the main floor where there wasn't something that was breakable, right? Yeah. My great-grandparents were actually the first Italians to move to Saskatchewan. So they brought some really precious stuff with them when they moved to Canada. And I'm sure some of it is still in the family. I think I've got a couple of pieces. So it's really cool to look back. It's like, oh, how did you survive 13 kids in my dad's side of the family and then like dozens of grandkids and yet all this stuff survived? So there's maybe something to be said there for durability as well. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So how do people find you? Of course, you and I had a conversation one time about Google and how do you get Google to cooperate with your business? How do people find you, or what are they usually looking for when they do find you?
People find me on Google, on either I have a website on there as well. I have Facebook and Instagram, Kinder Surprises Antiques. Okay. And I've got just over, I think, 10,000 followers now from Saskatchewan. So they're finding me.
They are.
Like, this isn't people from Timbuktu. I've got a really passionate group of people that follow the business, and I post daily. And so a lot of people are waking up every day. They tell me, and they're like, "Ooh, I wonder what's Erin
gonna post today?"
Because I keep myself pretty busy, and I keep it all light and fun, and yeah, so it's good. But yeah, people find me that way, and then they come out in the spring and summer on Sundays or Wednesdays.
Okay.
To the barn, and then they can look. And yeah, they're looking for everything. I have such a wide variety of items. People say, well, what sells best? I have old tools that sell best for men. I have picture frames that sell, and doors that sell best for brides. It's so dependent on who's looking.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that would be very true.
Yeah. But like I was saying earlier, Barb, like some of the latest clients that have bought lots of things, it's been interesting. There's been interior designers. It's not the typical customers that you would assume for an antique store. It's cannabis shops, it's tattoo parlors, hairdressers that are all wanting to add that interesting element to their businesses.
Exactly, and they're doing to their environment. Antiques. Yeah. Oh, isn't that interesting? And again, sustainability, right? When I think about our millennial generation and Generation Z, which is coming, sustainability is key to them. So if they can purchase something of quality versus that fast fashion that Rhea talks about, it contributes to our environment in such a positive way. My own kids haven't caught the sustainability bug, and I actually bug them about it. I'm like, come on, you guys, you got to worry more about the environment. Why am I doing all the worrying? You're supposed to be doing the worrying, right? And yeah, so it makes for some interesting conversations. Something popped. Oh, conversation with your dad yesterday. So I did see your post on social media yesterday, and you were telling a story about your dad. Do you want to share that with everyone?
Oh, well, I've been scheming. I wanted to improve like sort of my curb appeal of one of the areas within my barn. And so my dad, he's a farmer in Davidson, and he likes big boy toys, so he's got large, heavy pieces of equipment.
That's a very good description. Big boy toys.
Anyway, we were working away. I had a sea can that I have full of inventory, and so I wanted to move it away because I'm sort of developing a courtyard area so that when customers come out, they can have a picnic. And it was about 1:45. We'd been working all morning. It was about 1:45, and I said to Dad, like, can we stop for lunch? You know, 1:45, I was getting hungry.
Exactly.
And he's like, what did he say? We'll have lunch when
in the
winter. We'll have lunch in the winter.
That's right.
As in other words, it was like a beautiful day.
That's right. It was yesterday.
It was like +2 or something. And he's like, when you can work, you work.
Exactly.
And that was just such a true entrepreneurialism. I don't know if that's a word though of my dad, because my mom and dad have always had businesses as well.
Okay. Yeah, on top of farming.
On top of farming, we had gas stations in Davidson. So if you've ever driven through Davidson, I've probably poured you coffee as a 15-year-old
as a server at some point.
Or pumped your gas.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize they also had businesses, so they were very busy farmers then too.
Yes.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so when I hear that kind of thing, I mean, I very much hear the farm mentality where it's you work when you can. You don't know when you're going to have sun. You don't know when you're going to have dry, right? It's like harvest. And my husband comes from a family farm, so I tease him all the time that when we sit down for supper is a 7-minute activity in our house. There's no such thing as, let's sit down, let's enjoy our meal, let's talk with one another. It's, okay, there's food on the table, put it on my plate, put it in my mouth, okay, time to bust. The rest of us, I kid you not, there are times where the rest of us are like on our second or third bite and we look over and Dad's plate's clean, right? And he's not involved in the farm anymore. He moved into the city, he's always been gainfully employed in fairly white-collar jobs. But no, that mentality remains that I'm going to have 7 minutes to eat, so I better do it quickly. And both kids look and they're like, how does Dad do that? And I said, look at the size of his bite. Right. So, oh, goodness, yes. Every family's just a little bit different, for sure. Is your family still farming?
Yes. My 2 older brothers farm with my dad, and then my husband and I, we have a mixed cattle operation. So yeah, having a on-farm business for me worked well, because then I could, we have cows. So anyone who has cows knows that you're not really going too far from home.
No, you can't, can you?
So, and you're busy, and so it just worked well to be my own boss and to be able to set my own hours. And if I need to go help Craig and do something on the farm, I can do that. And so, yeah, the two work well together.
Very good. And if I recall correctly, you and Craig just celebrated an anniversary here not too long ago.
Yes, yesterday we celebrated.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Congratulations, 14 years. That's fantastic. Yeah. Erin shared with me before we got started today that Craig's actually not from Canada. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. In 1999, he came to Canada on a working holiday. And him and 6 buddies ended up in Davidson.
Okay.
And Davidson had a great summer that year. It was a lot of fun. And so my husband was at the time working for a neighbor, and we met. And then I followed him overseas. He was working in England. So then we lived over in England for a couple of years in Ireland, and then we moved to New Zealand for 6 years.
Wow.
And then when it was time to have kids, I was like, ooh, I might...
Davidson home.
And land prices in Saskatchewan were a lot better than land prices in New Zealand.
Right.
So yeah, in 2006, although I had said I'd never marry a farmer and I would never live in Saskatchewan, they were 2 of the best choices I've ever made.
Yes. And how many women who were married to farmers probably said the exact same thing? Never marrying a farmer, never living... Right, yeah. And yet that's where
it's a great
you're drawn back
to.
to.
And we're very, very proud farmers, and life is good.
So New Zealand was home for him then? Yeah,
he grew up in New Zealand, in the Marlborough Sounds.
Okay, sorry, I don't know New Zealand well,
so I can't
isolated
put that on the place, map. But it's a beautiful, beautiful country, and we try to get back every 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with everything that's going on down there right now, is anything near his home being impacted with the fires?
Well, the fires are in Australia, and he's in New Zealand, so geographically they're very far
diverse
apart.
And
different countries, different islands. So
okay. So
but he's got friends. We have friends in Australia, and we are hearing that it is quite devastating for them.
Oh, I can just imagine. Yeah, I was surprised. I saw a billboard here in town the other day. Looking for donations to support an organization down there, so that I think across the world we're seeing, some of the impact of what's happening in Australia for sure. Yeah, definitely.
But don't call him an Australian. Or
no,
an Australian.
He'll be offended.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I suppose it's like us when we travel, right? As Canadians, if somebody assumes we're American, we get offended. So, yes, it's kind of the exact same thing. Yes, I do get that.
No,
They're just down in that same vicinity.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah.
So what's next for the store? Are you getting bigger? You're working on outbuildings with your dad. What's the future look like for you and for your industry and for the business?
I think the industry is looking great. I mean, with people wanting sustainable items, with people loving and caring about their homes and wanting them to look great. I'm excited about the future.
Oh, good.
I'm getting a lot of traffic through. Last year, I won a Tourism Saskatchewan Award for my business.
Wow, congratulations.
Thanks.
That's excellent. Tourism Awards of Excellence. That's excellent. I didn't mean to do that.
So that was exciting. So now I just want to continue working with my tourism aspect of the business, about people getting out of the city and coming for a day trip, making a drive out to Davidson. It's just over an hour from any three of the cities, really, and it's paved all the way. And so it's just finding people that want to call up to their girlfriend, grab a coffee, do something different, do something a little bit unusual, and
well, and see some really neat stuff. So what an opportunity. Hop in the car with a friend, grab a coffee, make the drive out, spend the day, look around, that sort of thing. What an
so I'm just going to keep working away, just continuing to improve my inventory, just keep up finding really cool items that people want. And just making it a really welcoming place. I love listening to people when they're visiting and like hearing them about, oh, grandma had this, and oh, do you remember seeing that? Or people that are like looking at pictures on Instagram and they're like, oh, can you help me recreate this? And it's really fun. So I'm working at just welcoming everyone. Like I say, there's room to push a stroller or a walker, so all ages can come and visit.
Good.
It's just a really welcoming environment, and
you're enjoying it. You're having fun.
It is fun.
Yeah.
It's hard work.
Oh, absolutely.
But fun.
Any successful business is. And I think too often, we see people who manage or own a business and we think, oh, wow, that would be fun. That would be easy. And it doesn't matter what kind of business you have. You're working hard if you're succeeding. And if there's a formula out there for kicking back, but yet also succeeding, please tell me about it, because I certainly haven't found it either. What about your kids? Do they work in the business? Do they help you? What role do they have at this point?
Right now, I had 3 kids in 3 years. So when I first started my business, it was a great way to get away from my kids, honestly. I could go to my barn and just be in my little happy place. But now,
I understand.
Now my kids are 9, 10, and 11, and so they help me come out to the barn and clean things, and they're good little pack horses. They help me unload and move things around. My oldest guy, Sam, he's strong enough to help move furniture now, so that's a benefit.
That's an added bonus, yeah. And do they like it, or do you see the bug in any of them? Are they enjoying it, or is it we have to help mom?
No, they like it as long as they get something out of it, which usually, I'll give them a little pocket knife or something. They love, one guy, they like antique knives, or anything with an old car or something like that. My daughter's 9, she loves costume jewelry.
Oh, I suppose, hey? Yeah, so, you would have some really nice pieces like that.
So if they come out and I'm like, okay, sweep up this area, and I'll give you, a little $5-10 necklace or something, and they're thrilled. So
exactly. And let's be honest, at some point it'll probably make it back into inventory, because as they get older and they're looking for different things, right,
it'll only get more valuable as it gets older.
Exactly.
But it's a real business, and although they help, when I have busy days, I don't have them around, because I need to be focused.
You need to stay focused.
And I need to be providing the best customer service that I can. And if somebody's asking me for a glass of iced tea, I can't get you that right now. That you need to, But it's cool, because they can be jumping on the trampoline in the backyard, and I can be working, and that works great.
That's right. And if they do need you, they know where to find you, but yet they can still be kids, do their thing, have fun.
But
right?
I don't need to break up a Lego fight war.
Oh,
Right.
come on. Oh, come on. We all enjoy stepping on those little tiny pieces of Lego at like ungodly hours of the morning when we're going to the washroom, and now you want to scream. Right? Like, what was Lego thinking when they made sharp corners on this stuff?
Yeah.
Erin, if you can believe it, we are just about out of time. Can I get you to share one more time how people can find you and maybe your website address?
Sure. I'm either on Facebook or Instagram at Kinder Surprises Antiques, or on my website is kindersurprisesantiques.com.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you type in Kinder Surprises Antiques, it's pretty awesome. It seems to pop up, and
Good.
it gives directions to the barn.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'll be opening likely end of April, just kind of depending on the weather.
Okay.
But yeah, I keep that posted, or there's lots of message me
Mm-hmm.
options on those sites.
On social media, absolutely. Yeah, that sounds good. And if I recall correctly, you said it's about an hour drive, whether you're coming from the Saskatoon or Regina direction.
Yep.
So grab a coffee, call Erin, make an appointment, go out and see her this winter if you're looking for something to do, or wait till the spring and summer when you can kind of poke around a little bit more, have a little bit more time. I cannot believe this was the fastest half hour. I tell almost all of my guests, this will be the fastest 26 minutes of your life. And true to form, we are basically out of time. So let's see what we can do. We are out of time. I'd like to thank you for joining us today on The Secret Life of Entrepreneurs. As always, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email me at barb@googlegirl.ca or reach out on Facebook and Instagram at Above the Fold CA. Just a reminder, you can even submit questions in advance of the live show on any of our social media channels. I'm your host, Barb McGrath, local business owner, digital marketer, and Google girl. Remember, you worked hard for your success. Don't keep it a secret. Bye for now.